Fuck you.
That's how you do it?
There. What we're going to do is do a little Gears of War tier list based on how I feel. I've done this in the past, both on stream and in like a video. I've done this before, both on stream and in a video that you can go check out. I'm doing this again because we're going to be watching a video suggested to us by Ice Cold Snake, who's reviewing every Gears of War game. So I'm going to basically talk about the games now, how I feel about them ahead of time. And then when we get into it, we'll have that frame of reference. Then we've got some other Gears of War stuff to look at. I'm going to talk about Shadows later. And then we actually have a Ice video at the end that we're going to get into. But that's about it. And unless we meet our goal on YouTube, probably won't return to Reloaded, but, never say never. I'm going to switch us to just chatting. Share a little bit of lore of the games as you add them to the tier list for those in chat who don't know much. Yeah, we're going to talk about the games, what each one is about. I don't have like a necessary rubric for how I'm judging these, like when we did Warhammer Factions. It's mainly a little bit of vibes and like how I think the game feels and plays. We're also not doing just games, but also like the expansions and stuff are in there too. So we will be getting into a little bit more stuff, but like overall the rankings are mostly esoteric. Right here in our tiers, we have Onyx, obviously at the top, Gold, Silver, Bronze, and then Carmine for any of these games that I think would be fine not existing. Like Carmine, they can die, and nobody would really give too much of a shit. So that's our Gears-flavored tier list for tonight that we're going to go through here and kind of analyze all the games. A little bit in order, also kind of not. Starting out, Gears of War 1. By the way, Gears 1 is on this list 3 times because it's been released 3 times. And I'm not talking about like the Windows version, I mean like the remasters. It's kind of gotten the Last of Us treatment. Where it's gotten multiple remasters of remasters, which is kind of funny. But Gears of War 1, the original 2006 version, I'm putting on bronze. People will hate me for this. They'll think it's sacrilege. It's such an old game. It's so, like, I understand it did a lot. I understand the Mad World trailer helped sell people on the Xbox 360 and shit like that. It's slow. It's kind of cranky. It's like, you guys just saw me playing Reloaded, which is the remaster of Gears 1. And even that is a little bit jank, and that's after 2 remasters. So, like, the original is even worse. It's really rough playing it, especially today. This is the first Gears game, B, where we're introduced to Delta Squad, and there's not really any plot. Like, there's plot that's happening, but there's no character. There's like the smallest character arc in Marcus, where he goes from being a prisoner because in the past of the books he gets arrested for disobeying orders, and then he kind of earns the respect of his commander by the end of the game, but like he doesn't have any interactions. It's just at the beginning of the game, I hate you, you're a traitor, and at the end of the game, you're a good man, and there's not really any development. It's just sort of, it begins one way and ends in a different way, which is character development technically, but very technically and not very well done. Gears 1 has an image to it, given it's a 2006 game, but it's very dated. Like the 1980s TMNT main theme. I don't know about that. Or I'm not familiar with the 1980s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles theme. Gears 1 is supposed to be about redemption. I mean, yeah, the main character, his name is Phoenix. Obviously, there's like some semblance of the idea of like being a heroic phoenix rising from the ashes that they do. Obviously. Gears 2, I'm going to bump up to silver. It's basically the same as Gears 1. It's still kind of janky. It looks a lot better. The story is better. I wouldn't necessarily call it good. Again, sacrilege with hardcore Gears of War fans. I know, you hate me. I don't really care. I do appreciate Gears 2 for like the stuff it does, and Steve Jablonski's soundtrack on the game. Fan-fucking-tabulous. I should have changed my music for the stream to be Gears of War, but I wasn't thinking about it, so we have Halo. Still Xbox. Gears of War 2 is like, it develops the first game a lot, and like gameplay-wise, I don't think it's that bad. It's a lot cleaner than Gears 1 is. It's still kind of slow, and it's still kind of like rough around the edges. As a game, and like the things that adds to the game, I think are great. Storytelling, yeah, that's a different issue. Like, the set pieces are cool and stuff, and like in a vacuum it's not bad. But I've talked about this many times. Marcus and Dom don't really have a relationship throughout the games. Until like abruptly they do in Gears 3, but they don't feel like brothers. And I've bitched about this in a lot of different videos. That's kind of all it is. Gears of War 2 is the one where they're fighting the big worm, and they sink the last stronghold of humanity so that the Locust can't take it, and they flood like the Locust tunnels at the same time, and you find out the Locust Queen is also human. Spoilers, by the way, for the entirety of Gears of War, but first game to start adding color. Yeah, Gears of War 1 is a lot of like grays and blues. Gears of War 2 is grays and blues and brown. That's a game I think does need like a reloaded Ultimate Edition style treatment. More so than 3. I think 3 holds up pretty well on modern hardware, but like Gears 2, it's still very rough around the edges and can do with a lot of like HDR added to it, you know? Again, still kind of rough around the edges. Still, I get why people really, really love this game. This was my first Gears of War game, and if nostalgia meant more to me than it does, I would probably put this in gold tier. It might even move up as we go through and we talk about some of these other games. You know what? Yeah, I am going to move up to gold. But it's not like... I don't see this as like the epitome of this series, you know? I think like the common trend of people is saying that, you know, technically Gears 3 is better, but I love Gears 2 more. And it's like, I understand how you get there. That doesn't do it for me. Speaking of Gears 3, this is our first Onyx tier. Gears 3 is perfect in every way. I think from a game standpoint, it's better. Perfect. It's like... It's well-rounded. All of the different modes and stuff feel very fleshed out. I think Beast Mode is the only mode that feels like it had things cut for time, and I wish we could have seen that expanded on. I'm fighting with my headphone cord here. Sorry. The story, I still don't think there's much story there. Thinking about the plot, I mean, it's got more going on, and it has more emotional moments, and I think the whole thing of Adam Phoenix and his tie-in to the story is the most meaningful and impactful for me personally. But again, I don't know if the character writing is necessarily all that strong. At least the characters have character moments and character traits. That's something that I feel like both the previous games lack, outside of like they have character traits in Gears 1 and 2, but they're very, very simple. Like, Cole was the woo guy until Gears of War 3 gave him his whole thing with like the Cougars and the Thrashball team and kind of being this like sad figure. So I appreciate Gears 3 for that, but like, it's gameplay wise, it's much more fantastic. The music is great. The writing, it's not perfect. It's like, for 2011, it's pretty good. By today's standards, it's not necessarily that great or deep or anything like that. You know, you're never going to see me compare Gears of War, any of the games, to like an Expedition or a God of War Ragnarok or anything else like that. That's like on a little bit of a higher tier of storytelling, especially in the medium of video games. Maybe. I mean, most of that's like because this was before Last of Us, so this was before like really mainstream stories started getting injected into video games. But because we had games like Metal Gear and stuff that came out before it, I don't have a problem saying that Gears of War, it fits like its niche of action shooter with a story that's permissible for that, but it doesn't really ever go above and beyond. Now next is Gears of War 4, which I'm going to struggle between putting this in Onyx and Gold. People, again, sacrilege. You're going to hate me for this. Hardcore Gears fans are going to hate this. I really like Gears of War 4. Gears of War 4 was my Gears of War 2, right? Like, obviously, I started with Gears of War 2, but I started with Gears of War 2 when I was like 8 years old. A lot of people, like, we watched, like, way back when we watched Ice's retrospective of Gears 1, where he was talking about playing Gears 1 with his brother and stuff like that. For me, that was Gears 3, and to a much more extent, Gears of War 4, because Gears of War 4 came out 2016. I was a freshman then. Gears of War 4 carried me all the fucking way through high school. I played that game every single year until, like, Gears 5 came out in 2019, incessantly. The story, I kind of like some of the new stuff it's doing. It's like after the Locust died in Gears of War 3, they get shut off by a big space nuke sci-fi device that turns them off effectively. Gears of War 4, they get turned back on for whatever reason, and they're killing people. And we find out that Kate's mom is related to Mira, who is like, the queen of the Locust. Like, imagine like waking up one day and finding out you're like Hitler's granddaughter. Like it would be a weird thing to find out. But I don't hate the story. People say they hate the writing. I don't think the writing's that bad. It's not like anything close to Forspoken or another game that kind of gets more cringy. Like, you could say it's cringe, but I think it's not any more cringe than, like, the action storytelling dialogue of Gears 1 through 3 is. I think it's just lacking on, like, emotional beats or, like, important story moments. For everyone except JD, I think they do a good job with JD. Like, him finding Marcus and thinking that Marcus is dead, his dad is dead. I think it's a powerful moment. I think it would be even more powerful if they actually had the balls to kill Marcus. I think they should have killed Marcus in Gears of War 4, actually. I honestly, heart of hearts, out there for everyone to see, Marcus should have died in Gears of War 4. I don't give a shit what you think of that take. That's my take, and I stand by it. I stand by it to this fucking day. He should have died in Gears of War 4 so that he could have pushed JD and crew to go on to be more hardened and like understand the stakes of like this new threat that's bigger and badder than the Locust. Kill the fucking hero of the cog, who they literally adopt his namesake as the symbology. Like, they adopted the phoenix as a symbol, rather than like the skull omen of the past, or like whatever. I think there was like a generic eagle version. I'm trying to remember. Or just a version that had like stripes on it or something else, some other gay shit like that. They adopt his name and then like killing him to show off how powerful the new Locust, the new Swarm are. I think would have been really impactful for that and for JD's story, instead of killing Lizzie Carmine off in the next game and then not addressing it. I think having him, getting Marcus roped into the conflict and then Marcus dying would be a lot more impactful. You probably could have had Marcus go out more like a badass in his like death, like his capture scene. Instead, probably would have changed that to fit the tone a little bit better, instead of how he like goes down as is in the game. But I still think that would have been better for the story overall if they had the stones to hurt a single character from the old games. I don't think there's a single character who returns that dies in the duration of Gears 4 and 5. I'm trying to think right now, and there's not a single one I can think of. There's characters that existed from before that died off screen, not even in a book, just like off, like they just die. We know it's been like there's like a 25-year year gap, whatever the fuck, between Gears 3 and Gears 4, and some of the characters just died. We don't really know how, but they die. And they do that to some of the old characters, but we don't see any of the old characters die, even though they like ham it up as if some of them do die. Like Cole gets that treatment for some reason, and Carmine gets that treatment, and Panic gets that treatment, but then they just don't die. Jack gets that treatment, but he's a fucking robot and he's died twice before. They have a problem of not being able to kill old characters for like fear of backlash, and I really hate it. I wish they had more stones when it came to this kind of stuff. Gears of War 4 has the MCU problem where you can tell they wanted to make a series so the story ends on a cliffhanger. I mean, I wouldn't really say that's an MCU thing. Like, Gears of War has done that in every single game, except for Gears 3. But, like, Gears 1 ends with a mysterious monologue from Mira, who we didn't even know was Mira at the time. And Gears of War 2 ends on another suspicious monologue from Mira, showing us that it's going to lead on. I feel like that's just sort of generic for like the start of a trilogy. I don't think that's necessarily like an MCU-fication of Gears. But all that being said, I love Gears of War 4's multiplayer. I love the Horde mode. I think it's like missing. It feels a little vacant with the fact that it doesn't have anything akin to like Beast mode or anything. So it feels a little bit smaller than Gears 3 in that way. As much as I do like Horde mode, adding classes and upgradable skill trees and stuff like that. And then there's the card system, which really hurts it. I'm going to put it above Gears 2, but it's going to be stuck in gold because like the whole gambling skin thing is a really big mark. And they've never changed that. They did change it for Gears 5, but Gears 4, they never went back and changed it away from that card gambling system, which sucks. Gears 5, speaking of, I'm going to put in silver. I think Gears 5 is trying to do a lot, but it's disjointed and it doesn't know what it wants to do. The biggest thing is that, like, the campaign feels like it was rewritten probably once or twice. I talked about it in my years later video where it's like, it feels like, especially Act 3 and Act 4 were majorly changed to, like, make do so that, like, all the characters come out. And then, like, the split death. There's, like, a death at the end of the game where you have to make a choice between two characters dying. And it feels like it comes out of fucking nowhere. And I think that's also part of the game itself. And there's, like, this melancholic death. I was talking about Jack. He dies at the end of Gears 5. And it's, like, made out to be this heroic sacrifice. But it's really not. I wish I could put it to gold. If I put Gears 2 in gold, I could put Gears 5 in gold. Again, storytelling is not that great. It's not that bad, but it's not that great as far as Gears of War games are concerned. Actually, you know what? I take it back. I'm putting Gears 2 and Gears 5 into silver. Multiplayer is, give or take, I think it was a worse experience overall than Gears 4. There were some changes they made with, like, spawns, how spawn protection worked, how different loadout stuff worked, and different, like, quality of stuff life that was, like, in Gears 4, but strangely just completely absent from Gears 5, which I always thought was incredibly odd, but I guess. So I think it definitely is, like, worse than Gears 4, but it depends on the day. I really like Escape. Escape is great. And, like, their version of Horde in Gears 5 over 4 is also really cool. And I like how there are many options you get in, like, custom lobbies and stuff like that, but there's a lot of, like, stuff around the edges where it's really, really rough that just feels odd, you know? Hivebusters, which is the expansion for Gears 5, where you play as a completely different group of people that basically is the prologue to the Escape game mode as itself. That goes into gold. That little add-on expansion is short, it's sweet, all the characters are likable, it feels like an old school action-adventure shooter game. It's great. No notes. I like the music, I like the setting, the giving us more lore on the Golongi Islands is great. Story, again, compared to everything else, it's another Gears of War story. None of these are really going to blow you away. So it's just going to live there in gold. Judgment, I'm going to put in bronze. I think it's better than the original Gears. But, I mean, everyone dogs on Judgment, and I'm very high on Judgment compared to other people. And actually, I might put it above Gears 5. Gears 2, though, I'll put it below Gears 2. The writing is abysmal. I think the writing is dog shit. And even for a Gears game, including, like, the Aftermath. Well, not Aftermath. Aftermath, I think, is different, but the ending of Aftermath is completely ruined by Gears 5, so that's a little bit lower. The campaign is, like, trying to do stuff, but I think it fails with, like, the arcadey setup. The multiplayer is trying to do stuff, but was really underbaked. Survival was trying to do stuff, but was really just an extension of Overrun, but against bots. Overrun is really, really cool, and it's got a lot of really cool ideas, but I said this in my years later video. It just feels underdeveloped. Like, I feel if they had another year of development time, this could be a game on par with, like, Gears 3, if not, like, Gears 2, in, like, it's trying a lot of new stuff, or even, like, a Halo Reach type game in the series, but it just didn't get that time that it needed. For reference speed, this is a game that is a prequel to all of the Gears of War games, except for E-Day, which we'll talk about at the end. It takes place right after the Locusts emerge and are fucking everybody up, and we're kind of experiencing the front line of it from the perspective of some of the characters from the older games being Baird and Cole. That's the one we played on stream not that long ago. Gears Pop is Carmine. I could joke and talk about how Pop was, like, you know, surprisingly fun or whatever. It's just a Clash Royale clone with a Gears of War skin on the top of it. It was a neat idea, but I hate Pops. I hate Clash Royale. For the most part, I hate mobile games. It could be deleted. I mean, it has been deleted. It's not available anymore. I don't think it exists on the Apple or Play Store, and even if you do still have it downloaded, there's no servers or anything. You just can't play the game. It's deadware. It's abandonware. I would say that game could get deleted and nobody would remember, but it did get deleted and nobody cares. So obviously it belongs in Carmine. We'll do these back to back. Gears of War Ultimate Edition is a remaster of Gears of War 1. Now, I'm going to put it also in bronze because outside of the fact that it adds another act, it takes the acts that used to be exclusive, a set of missions in the campaign that used to be exclusive to the PC launch of the game, it added that back in for console players. Outside of that, and the fact that it adds on a fresh coat of paint to make the game look nice, there's nothing that special about it. It's just Gears 1 again, except for it looks nice, which, I'm still not big on Gears 1. The remaster is not doing enough. I'm not enough of a fan of Gears 1 to really care. It's not really my kind of game. So that gets to stay in bronze. Gears Reloaded, I'm going to bump up to silver. Now, you may see that. You might think I'm a fucking psychopath. You might think, what the fuck are you on? What are you snorting right now? To put Gears 1 and Gears Ultimate Edition in bronze, but then Gears Reloaded in silver. Haven't you been complaining the fuck out of your ass about Reloaded being a completely redundant game for the last 6 months since we heard about it? Now, that's true. I have been basically complaining and bitching about the fact that Reloaded is very much useless for a Gears of War fan like myself. And it still is. But I will bump it up to silver exclusively because of the ability for it to be cross-play across not only PlayStation, or not only PC, but PlayStation. That is the big modifier here. Whether or not that makes a difference, I don't really know. Like we saw when I was matchmaking half an hour ago, everyone in the lobby was playing on Xbox, sorry. So I don't think a lot of people on PlayStation are going to hop into it outside of playing the campaign and then maybe dipping after that. But I think that in and of itself is an achievement worth talking about. And I think it's just really fucking cool to see both Helldivers on Xbox and Gears of War. Gears of fucking War on a PlayStation. That is insane. And for that alone, I will put it above Gears 1 and Ultimate Edition into silver tier. And that's where it's going to stay for now, I would incredibly doubt that they're going to do anything with it, like adding any content updates. I would be really, really surprised if they did. I don't think they have any plans to add any additional skins or anything, or even do updates outside of some tuning stuff, some server side stuff. It's just going to be Ultimate Edition again, which, as somebody who's played Ultimate Edition a lot already, I don't really give a shit. But it's launching on PlayStation and opening the doors to Gears of War 2 and 3 launching on PlayStation in their own updated versions, as well as E-Day launching on PlayStation, is very cool, and I can't knock it for that. Next, Rom Shadow. I'm going to put in gold tier. This was the expansion to Gears of War 3. It's also kind of a prequel thing where you see Rom, who was the villain of Gears of War 1, come back. You get to play as him and other Locust Elites, which is really fucking cool for 2 missions, which is a little less cool. But I will say it's a fun little thing. Very much like Hive Busters. It's cool. The set pieces are nice. It gives you an interesting little look into the universe. And it's just like a little slice of Gears that's really cool to look at. And outside of that, I don't really have anything else to say about it. That's sort of just it. It's nice. It's neat. It's not anything to blow you away in the same way Hive Busters. It might be above Hive Buster purely for the fact that you can play as Rom and the Locust and stuff, which is really cool. But it's not anything super special outside of its, it being attached to Gears of War 3. That's really the only thing that sets it apart. You play as an obscure character from the comics. Yeah, Barrick. Having Barrick in there is interesting. I wouldn't necessarily call him obscure. He's like on the face of the cover of one of the comics. I think someone like Harper is maybe more obscure. Although I don't know if any of the comic characters in this is necessarily that obscure. You either know them or you don't. Like, if you don't know any of the comic characters, then you don't know any of the others. You know, if you don't know Barrick, you don't know who Alex Brand is, you don't know who Harper is, you don't know any of these other things, you don't know Helena. If you do, then you know all of them. There's not really a gradient when it comes to Gears and its extended media, really. New players won't know. Well, yeah, obviously. But I don't think, you know, what I mean is that, like, if they put in Alex Brand or Harper's, they're not going to know who that is either. You know, there's not a whole wide Venn diagram of people who've seen Gears of War comics and books and stuff, and then also have played the games. Or people who played the games and have also, whatever, you know what I mean. Tactics, I'm going to put into gold tier. This is a solid fucking video game. Great. It's very, very different from the rest of the series. It's a top-down tactical type game. The story, again, nothing super big to write home about. Bare bones, but the game itself, I had a lot of fun with. And I go back and I play it probably about once a year. It's just having really, really... it's a very, very fun game. No notes, again. Great. For what it is... fantastic. I wish there was more. I wish we were getting a Tactics sequel, but Splash Damage, who worked on both Gears 4 and 5, and they went to work on Tactics, and they've gone on to now make a Transformers third-person shooter. As far as I know, last I heard, that Transformers shooter is in development hell right now. It's in limbo. So, I don't know if we're ever going to get a Gears Tactics 2, which sucks, because I really like Splash Damage and what they do with Tactics. Maybe another studio will pick up the mantle, or maybe we'll get Splash Damage back. I don't know, but that's what it is. Carmine means the best. Hey, Carmine forever. Welcome to the stream. If you want to believe it in your heart of hearts, it can mean. For me, Carmine means, you know, somebody you can kill and nobody will care or notice, and... that's about it. Now, we've talked about every single game in the series up to this point. From Gears 3 to Gears fucking Pop. Now, Gears of War E-Day. Obviously, it's not out. It doesn't exist yet. We don't even have gameplay of it. We don't even know approximately when it's going to come out. I think there was a confirmation that it's coming in 2026 at some point. Maybe, I think it was Q2, but I have no idea. I hit my microphone. We have no idea, truly. You hope it comes out strong? Me too. As we don't actually have gameplay, if we had gameplay, I would feel actually a lot more confident about where to place it. But more, I'm thinking about how I would feel if it failed. Because if it's a good game... that's great. That's fantastic. If it comes out to PlayStation, that's even better. Get more people into the game, have this revival of Gears, which I think it does have the ability to do. Especially the fact that it is nostalgia baiting so hard with with Marcus and Dom as the main characters and Mad World and everything going on. They are trying so hard to get like that 2008 audience back alive and running again. And I think if it does really well, obviously, that'll be great for everybody who likes Gears of War. Now, if it comes out and it's bad, I'm talking like as bad as people think that Gears of War Judgment is, would that make a big difference? I don't know, because if it's bad, then people are going to think about Gears that they've thought already. People already don't like the newer games. They don't like Gears 5. They maybe like Gears 4. They didn't even hear about Tactics existing, or it's a completely different game that they didn't even touch. Hey, you know, whatever. To each one, everyone has like a different taste in whatever, right? I really like Tactics, but I know not everybody likes the tactical shooter type thing as I do. I think if it comes out and it's bad, it'll probably be devastating for Gears fans. Probably. But for everybody outside of the Gears of War community, I don't think they'll notice. Gears 5 came out and it was bad, and it was not even in the news cycle of when it came out. Mainly because I think everyone was focused on like Anthem, but nobody really gave a shit that Gears 5 was bad outside of Gears fans that already exist. So if E-Day comes out and it's bad, I don't think it'll really change anything. It's like kind of the way people perceive Halo Infinite, where even if it's like somewhat good, I also don't know if it being kind of passable will matter either, or if people will like have their standards set so high. It kind of, to me, it depends on how hard they bait the nostalgia, because if they do a good job of baiting the nostalgia to get people interested in it, then it could have a chance of standing on some water. But I'm going to put it like right in the middle, because I don't think it'll have that big of an impact unless it is like God of War 2018 levels of like quality right out the gate that gets like everybody talking about it and like revering Gears of War as a series once again. I don't think it'll matter that much, honestly. Like, thinking about Halo Infinite, I think it's a fine game. Like, that's a 7 out of 10 game. Maybe it's totally fine, Maybe you wouldn't pay for it at full price, whatever. Fine. It's not bad, it's just not as good as like Halo 3, Halo 2, or Halo Reach, which people have their standards set so high for all of these games. Obviously, I don't think we're going to get a Halo game that's as good as Halo Reach, because it's impossible to meet people's expectations, unless... not to say that it's impossible to make a game that good again, but even if a game is decent, people won't like it. You know what I mean? It might be the game where I don't bitch about Marcus's characterization. I probably will still. I hate the way the games... Okay, I don't hate the way that the games treat Marcus. I hate the way the dichotomy that exists between how he's written in books and comics and stuff and in the games, and how he's talked about to exist in the books and the games. When you have a character like Jace who's like, man, the stories don't even do him justice, and then he's just sort of there, like it could be a lot stronger. But a younger Marcus, I'd be interested to see his take, maybe for him to be a little bit more fired up being young, but I'm more interested to see what they do with the Carlos Santiago, Helena Stroud beats in Asphalt Fields, because I think it's all but confirmed that they've said they're going to be going back to that. However much they do go back to that, it could be like Gears 2, where we get the single flashback of Maria, where like we get a flashback of Marcus watching Carlos bleed out on the beach or whatever. That could be it. That's all we see of Asphalt Fields. I would not put it past them to do something like that. Or we can get, like a whole prologue chapter of us going through that mission, experiencing Helena Stroud's death, and Marcus getting away with Bernie later on, and then meeting up with Dom and kind of transitioning from there into E-Day, which would be a lot more interesting. But I don't know, it's a hard one to place. I don't think it'll matter in the grand scheme of things, unless it is like fantastic. But I also don't know. I don't have any expectations, because so much of the leadership at the Coalition has changed that it's hard to like put my foot on the credibility of the studio now. Like, if it was the same studio that was doing Gears 5, and I say same studio because it is effectively a new studio. People think that because it's the Coalition, that means it's the same people who made Gears 5, but we don't have any of the directors who were there for Gears 4 and 5 doing E-Day. It is a completely new team, effectively, from the executive level. And we don't have any basis of how they're going to be. If it was the same team that was doing Gears 5 or Gears 4, I'd probably be a lot lower on it. But for the newer team that's going to be doing E-Day, I'm optimistic. But unless it is like God of War 2018 styles of redemption and like being like a properly good game that you can dig into, I don't think it'll be that big or noteworthy. You know, I don't think it'll be enough to revive Gears. Maybe for like the hardcore Gears fans, but like in the public consciousness, I don't think that'll be enough for it, you know? Epic's not going to do shit with Gears. I mean, yeah, I don't think Microsoft has any plans to sell Gears of War back to Epic. That just doesn't make any sense. Like, the people who worked at Epic on Gears of War have moved over to the Coalition or have moved on entirely, like Rod Ferguson, Cliffy B. They've moved on entirely, if not moved on to already be working on Gears of War at the Coalition. A lot of the people who worked on Ultimate Edition and to some extent Reloaded and worked on Gears 4 and Gears 5 were people that were already working on Gears. It's not like an entirely new team of people who've never touched Gears before, you know? There's no reason for Epic to buy back their thing that they don't care about when they already have a successful Unreal engine test in the form of Fortnite, but at worst, they'd put Gears in the Epic Store. Yeah, I can see that. I don't think there's people working at Epic who care about Gears. I think people just fundamentally misunderstand how game development works, and they're like, well, Epic made Fortnite, and that's amazing, so like let them make Gears of War again. It's like, that's not how the teams are organized or structured, you know? Not to say that Epic couldn't make a good Gears of War game again, but like a lot of people say that with the expectation that like the people who worked on Gears of War 2 and Gears of War 3 are still putting in hours at Epic. And now some of them are, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say that they aren't, but majority of them moved on or came to work on Gears of War already. So it's just sort of a nothing burger, you know. It's a nothing statement. It doesn't mean anything because there's nothing to support that it would be any different whatsoever. So I'm going to remain optimistic on E-Day, but I don't expect it'll make a big difference either way. Fortnite has changed how they do things because it's their money cow. Yeah, I mean, to some extent. Oh, hold on. Let me get rid of this. We're going to be moving on. To this one. Damn it, it's not set up correctly. More Gears? Yes, we're talking about more Gears. This is a video that was requested to me, by Ice Cold Snake, friend of the channel, from Camp Xbox, who is reviewing every Gears of War game, which will be interesting to jump into after I just got done yapping about Gears of War. He is talking about every game, so it'll be interesting to get into. We have another Gears 2 retrospective, which we may get into. I may save it for later because it's 28 minutes long, and knowing me, that'll take forever. And Carmine Forever, if you're still in chat, I had your video pulled up too. You reviewed Gears of War Reloaded, and I was going to look into it to see if there was anything different about the game from Ultimate Edition. You keep E-Day alive myself if they bring in a slap mechanic. A slap mechanic? Do you mean like literally slapping, or is that a term I'm not recognizing? Bot. Ew, be the bot. B, murder the bot right now. Execute. But we'll be getting into this, looking at it, and looking at... Nice, thank you, B. Kind of jumping in to get some other... thank you. Some other perspectives from the community at large about Gears of War. And real quick, I will do this because he's here in chat. This is Carmine Forever. Literal slap mechanics. Oh, that'd be nice. I'm going to post this in chat for people. If you are here on my stream and you like Gears of War, go check out Carmine Forever. I've known his stuff a little bit, mainly seeing shorts and stuff, and seeing, like, most of what I've seen of you has been, like, in the Gears of War Discord. I've seen you, like, promote your stuff there and talk about it. Yeah, I think he mostly does shorts. I've seen a couple of the videos. I'm not big on Gears of War YouTubers, because I think a lot of them do the same kind of slop content. Not Carmine. I think Carmine is a genuinely great Gears of War creator. All of my complaints, dude, okay. I'm going to complain about Shadows. I know I do it at least once a month. Not to dog on Shadows, right? Shadows has been around forever. He makes a lot of Gears of War stuff. He's, I think, literally the biggest Gears of War creator. He's got his upsides. He's got his downsides. I've said many, many times, my biggest issue with Shadows from like a creator standpoint is the fact that he feels so uninspired, which I understand. It's easy to like lose steam and like put up with stuff when you're in the Gears of War space, which is already a super niche community, and it's been dead for about 5 years until like the E-Day trailer and Reloaded coming out, and then whenever E-Day comes out. But since like 2020, 2021, it's been dead. Yeah. My biggest problem with Shadows is that it's just so repetitive. Like, since Reloaded came out, and since it's been coming out, he has been reposting every single trailer for Gears Reloaded that the official Gears of War account has been posting, as well as posting all of, like, the game cutscenes and cog tags and cinematics and walkthroughs and stuff, which, hey, I get it. It's technically a new game. Somebody's got to do that kind of stuff. As far as I know, it's virtually identical as Gears Ultimate Edition, and he's done all of this exact same stuff with Gears Ultimate Edition. I don't understand why you wouldn't just go, hey, here's my videos from when Ultimate Edition was out. It's the same as Reloaded. Just go watch these videos. And then instead of like what's essentially just re-uploading those videos but putting the Reloaded name on it to drum off of the fact that it's popular and in the SEO search right now, you know? It's just... It feels lazy, you know? When you're the biggest Gears creator, I would like to see some creativity of, like, getting into stuff. Like, I know he's used to doing... Like, I know you've done this, Carmine, where you made a video... It wasn't that long ago, where you're playing Gears of War Beast Mode. I don't know if there's actually what the twist is. I assumed it was, like, modded. I didn't watch it. But it reminded me of, like, Shadows used to do these videos where he would play Beast Mode modded and kind of show off these cool mods and stuff like that. And I thought that was really fucking cool. And I know Gears of War doesn't have a huge modding scene or, like, a whole lot going on necessarily. But something, you know? It wasn't just re-uploading, you know, trailers that the Gears of War account officially posted, you know? It's kind of, it feels very lazy to me, you know? And that I don't like. Carmine Forever, however, I will give you a lot of credit. Obviously, from what I've seen of your account and like the few videos and shorts and stuff I've seen, I appreciate how much of a breath of fresh air this feels like. Because even other big Gears creators, like the only other one I can think of is the Razor's Edge, who kind of quit sometime around Gears 5, and King Abs. And King Abs kind of does the same thing as Shadows, where he just sort of does the same generic Gears of War lore videos. I know I've done them too, but like that's sort of all that he does, you know? But I appreciate to see that like there's more going on here, as much as it is very like YouTuber-y, but like, you know, I'm not gonna fucking dog on anyone for playing the game, you know, hate the game, not the player, which I would say to Shadows, but Shadows is also playing the game in like the most annoying way possible, which I don't, which I really think is harmful to both his own, his own thing and everything like that. Didn't appreciate that Shadows immediately stole the character vids from the Gears channel immediately and posted it on his. Yeah, like I understand like the idea of archiving. Those videos just got posted, like you re-uploaded them minutes after they went live on the main Gears of War channel, you know? So, oh, we're getting all Carmine's fans in here. But like he was doing this a while ago after E-Day came out and it was popular, where he was just like re-uploading. Yeah, here. He's like re-uploading trailers for like Gears of War 2 and Gears 1 and stuff to thrive off the fact that Gears of War was kind of popping again after Gears E-Day got its trailer and everything like that. And that's like, I don't know. It's just, do whatever you got to do to make it in the YouTube ecosystem and stuff. But like when you're already the biggest Gears YouTuber, you've already got like this huge leg up and stuff. Just doing the same shit, like the like bare minimum, really, like it just feels so lame to me. So again, everyone, I mean, you do a good job of keeping things fresh. And hello everyone from Carmine Forever. I guess if you're already here from Carmine Forever, I don't have to tell you guys, but everyone who's in my stream, and from my Discord, my community, stuff like that, and you like Gears of War, check out Carmine Forever. I haven't done as much Gears of War content, because I struggle with keeping it fresh or like making it work in a way that is plays into my channel and the way I do stuff. So I just don't do it because whenever I make Gear stuff, it kind of gets dogged on by the algorithm, and I'm like, you know what, I'm not gonna try it again. But it's a different thing. Old videos that were at risk of becoming lost media, but for the vids that got posted just minutes ago, yeah. That's it is very it's like slimy a little bit, where it's like, come on, really? Like, imagine if I was like, I do a lot of Warhammer stuff, if I took like the trailer for every time that like a Warhammer game was coming out, or Warhammer the new edition trailer drops or whatever, and I took that and I just re-uploaded it on my channel raw. Why? Why? Like, it's just such a lame thing to do from like a creator standpoint, especially like I give Shadows a lot of shit for this because as far as I know, he's still doing content creation full time. So it's not like it's whatever, like there's something about it. And I don't want to sound like I'm just bitching about him, but like when I do stuff, obviously, I'm somebody who's working a full-time job on top of trying to do YouTube and stuff, on top of having, I'm engaged and I have a 3-year-old. So, like, trying to keep up with stuff is hard for me. But if you're doing content full-time and you're streaming on Twitch and YouTube and Kick every single day, how do you not feel the motivation to pick things up, And that's just odd to me. And, like, I don't want to sit here and pick on Shadows again for the 3rd time of the year or whatever. It's like a quarterly check-in I do. But come on, man. Like, it just feels very slimy. And I don't appreciate that. And it's kind of like my constructive criticism of Shadows of like, hey, let's freshen this up because what are we doing otherwise, Let me pull this down a little bit. And then we're going to get into this video that is ranking. This was shared to me by Ice Cold Snake, who's a friend of the show, from Camp Xbox, ranking every single Gears of War game. Now, I just went through, and I ranked all the Gears of War games. I probably should have kept that tab open. Hold on. Fuck. There it is. So, if you guys missed the the part of the stream where I ranked all the Gears games, here's my ranking of all the Gears games. Like I said when we were ranking it, I know diehard Gears fans are going to call me a heretic for however I put it, but I know putting Gears 1 and Gears 2 below Gears 4 is probably sacrilege to some people, but going off vibes and different things here, and then we're going to use that as a comparison to get into this other guy who was also reviewing all the Gears of War games. So how am I? Winded. I like yapping, but sometimes, you yap too hard and it goes... I felt like I had to say something profound and then I completely forgot how to speak. We're going to get into this. I'm having a good time. Gears of War 2 at silver? Yeah. I will defend this again if I have to. Gears of War 2, great for its time. I don't have the nostalgia for it. I was 8 when I played that game. I don't have any of the nostalgia. Yap, Too Close to the Sun. That right there. That's my everyday. I don't have the nostalgia for it, and I understand the people who put it as like their favorite Gears of War game. 100% over Gears 4? See, I hard disagree with that. Gears of War 4 was my Gears of War 2, and outside of the monetization, and like, I think the story is probably worse than Gears of War 2's story, but I'm also of the opinion of not a single Gears of War game has that good of a story. I'm listening real quick to see if I can hear pitchforks at the door. I'm somewhat of a, what do you call it? I was going to say cinephile. That's not really like the term. I guess like pretentious, you could say, when it comes to stories. I will happily admit that. And that's very much where I am with Gears. You know, like Gears to me, from a narrative lens, will never compare to a series like God of War or Expedition 33, any of those like really heavy hitters story-wise. And I wish it was better. Trust me, I wish it was better. I really wish, but it's not. So that's where it's at. And I compare it to gaming as a whole. As far as like Gears of War in a series is concerned, this is somewhat reflective of that, but not super. Because Gears 2 would probably be above Gears 4 on storytelling merits. But gameplay-wise, I have a lot more fun with Gears 4 a lot more. And you were 11? What does that have to do? I'm meaning that, like, I don't have the nostalgia for it, you know? Like, I played it when I was really young, and, like, a lot of it didn't necessarily hit me in the way it probably should have. But, like, Gears of War 4, I played when I was getting into high school, and that's, like, when I was playing video games the most. So, like, Gears 3 and Gears 4 especially were like the games I really latched onto. So like if any game is getting like a nostalgia boost here, Gears of War 4 is probably the one doing it. But Gears 4 just feels very anemic. Outside of the story and the music, I don't think it has a lot going for it. It doesn't look that great, even upscaled, and like it still runs kind of janky. But it's very take it or leave it for me. Gears of War story, Gears 2 is your favorite, but Gears 4 multiplayer slaps hard. Yeah, I liked Gears of War 4's multiplayer the most. That is like the only game where I took competitive play in Gears of War seriously. And I got to Onyx in 2v2s. I almost got to Diamond. I still fucking hate that I never got there. Me and my buddy would play 2v2s every single fucking day, and I would look on the little tracker website, and it would say 97% of the way to Diamond. And I'm like, well, what the fuck? And I would win 10 more matches, and I would still not be in Diamond. And I was pissed as fuck. But that's just sort of where it is. Gears 4 went downhill after the first few years. Maybe. I think Gears of War 4, year 2 was my favorite. Around the time that like they added Diner as a map and like they introduced the Palace Garden stuff, I remember that era of Gears 4 specifically being really fun. But it did kind of suffer from Gears 5's same thing of they changed the weapon tuning every other month, which really hurt. But, you know, Gears 4 story is still confusing for me. I don't know if it's confusing. I don't know how you would find it confusing. I think that's where I'm. Gears 4 did not have balls. I agree with you there. I went on a rant earlier about how I think Gears 4 didn't have the balls, stay with me here, to kill Marcus Phoenix. Now, if Gears 4 had the fucking stones to kill Marcus, the story of 4 and 5 would have been much better for the rest of it. But Gears 4 and Gears 5's inability to touch a single character in a series called Gears of War, where characters would die all the fucking time in the original games, and they didn't even have the stones to kill a character in Gears of War 4. The only character who dies is Reyna, and she was dead from the first scene you meet her. When you find out that she's Kate's mother, it's like, oh yeah, she's dead. That's it. She's done. Not a single other character of note dies. Like, I guess Carmine dies, but you gotta have a Carmine die in every single fucking game. Oscar doesn't die. He gets set up to die. He doesn't die. And that's it. Reyna's the only character that fucking dies in Gears 4. You know? Like, I really wish they had more to show. And I think if Marcus died, that would really cement the Swarm as being tougher than the Locust, right? Or at least, like, is tougher or as tough as they used to be, and our characters are in for a world that they're not ready for. Kill Marcus and I riot? See, that's exactly why they wouldn't do something like that, because they're too afraid of making the fans angry, and they don't know how to do it in a way that is either respectful or honorable enough to the character in order to make it work. But I think you could have killed Marcus, and you should have killed Marcus in Gears of War 4 to motivate JD's arc into Gears 5. It shouldn't have been him like killing some random Carmine and a bunch of civilians that sends him on his dark streak. It should have been Marcus fucking dying, you know? Or like even having, if you choose that path, Dell dying at the end of Gears 5. It should have been Marcus dying in Gears of War 4 that starts that whole thing, you know? Killing Anya off screen was pussying out. I mean, maybe having a flashback would have been good. I don't think necessarily killing her off screen or killing her in the time gap is a bad choice, but the way they handled it, the way it was executed, the way it's like told to us, the fact that we don't even necessarily know, I don't know if it's been said, if it was something to do with the birthing experiments or whatever. I think that was implied by Jin in Gears 5, but I don't remember. It's been a minute. But yeah, I think if they had killed Marcus in Gears 4, the story of 4 and 5 would have been better off for it. And that's my Gears 4 hot take, I guess. It'd be tough to kill him off in a way the community would be okay with. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Like I was saying earlier, if you did kill him off, you would have to have his last stand, like when he gets captured by the Snatcher, be more heroic, and it's not just him like getting, you know, flashbanged effectively and then like grabbed. It would have to be more of like a heroic stand where he's like, you know, defending his son or something like that. And then they find him later, and I think him dying in that way where they pull him out of the pod and he's like already dead, and you have like JD trying to like convince himself that he's not dead. I think that is a heartbreaking scene. I think that is a perfect scene to do it. But I don't think it works as well. Halo all over again. Killing Anya off screen is like killing Cortana at a major point in her story. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. I'm not super familiar with Halo post like Halo 3 or Reach or whatever. I don't know what the story is of branching Halo 3 into Halo 4, 5, and Infinite. But I don't think Anya is nearly as important to Gears of War's story as Cortana is. Like, she's kind of important to Marcus's story, but I wouldn't necessarily say that she's as important as Cortana is. Outside of being like the most prominent female figure in Gears. But if we're just comparing characters that are female and prominent in the series, then I think we're losing the point of the character's role in the story. You know what I mean? But we're going to get into this. Camp Xbox talking about ranking every Gears of War game and getting his take on it. Does Carmine have a video about ranking the Gears games? What's your ranking, Carmine? I wonder if it's more or less... Mine feels like it's rage bait, but it's not. It's... It's my honest truth. And it changes every once in a while. If you go and watch like the video I did ranking the games from like 2 years ago, I probably have different opinions on the games then than I do now. The community would never be okay with Marcus's death. That's the whole point. Yeah. The idea that you can't be angry with something, or that like being angry with something makes it bad, is stupid to me. Like, look at Red Dead fucking Redemption. Both the characters in both of those games die, and they're still revered because it was done well, you know? And it's not like there's anybody who like hates Red Dead Redemption 2 for killing, what the fuck is Arthur Morgan off, right? Like, nobody is like sitting there going like, oh, I really loved Red Dead Redemption until he died. But I think killing him would upset people, but if it was done in service of a good story, people would respect it at the very least. But that is a big risk, because if the story's not good or the story is like something that people don't like, then it would feel like they killed him off for shock value, which I agree is like, it's a risky place to be. Like if we got him killed off and then we got Gears 5 story, I would agree that would be dumb. But if it was done in service to a better story that was a little bit more like, not to say more grounded, it's fucking Gears of War, they put chainsaws on guns, but like a story that had more depth to it, I think that would be incredibly helpful and insightful for the series. Takes into account Halo 5 had Cortana going rogue. Infinite, Cortana died off screen. I mean, I guess. I don't want to get into Halo, but again, I don't think Cortana has the same weight of in the story as Anya does, you know? I thought we wouldn't agree on shit, but you were making some coherent points. All I do is like, I am a hardcore narrative file, you know, like a lot of the videos I've done are like breaking down stories and getting introspective on stories and stuff in games and whatnot. And I spend a lot of time writing stories and things of that matter. I think about it a lot. And I think I am very much a fan of storytelling in the way that kind of like subverting and or doing interesting stuff with stories is always going to be a lot more interesting to me than a story that I can predict, because a story that you can predict is kind of be lame. But that's why I like something like Expedition 33 a whole lot. Buster be chill. I am very chill. Thank you. Who would be reason to die in Gears 6? Are you saying who would be reasonable to die in Gears 6 of Delta Squad? I think Cole, Cole should be dead. The fact that they like fake out his death like Chewbacca in Rise of Skywalker is so fucking lame. That's what I mean when I say the Coalition doesn't have fucking balls. They fake out Marcus's death and then they fake out Cole's death. It's like, if you're gonna kill him, just fucking kill him. Don't make it this big moment and then be like, oh yeah, by the way, he survived. How? Cole trained, baby. It's like, what the fuck? You have the fucking stones to kill a fucking character to show us that our villains are competent. The only people that the Swarm are capable of killing in the entirety of Gears 5 is JD and or Dell, which is entirely contrived and made up for the plot for you to be shocked, I guess, and a robot. The only person they can kill is a robot outside of the fucking character that gets, like, chosen. Like, we don't even know which one is dead. It is Schrodinger's companion right now and the robot. And the robot they don't even kill. He sacrifices himself. And then Lizzie was killed by the Cog, by JD. Not even the Swarm didn't even get credit for killing her. They don't kill anybody. The only way I think Marcus should be allowed to die would be the true final of the Gears saga. No, I think it's better for him to die at the beginning of the trilogy, because it's like passing the torch, you know? If he was the protagonist of Gears 4, 5, and 6, I could see that as an argument, but him and JD sharing the screen is really dumb. And if you're going to have them both exist in the story, then you should kill him first. Like, that's right. Storytelling 101 is kill the mentor so that you give the hero the kick to go onto his hero's journey. Like, that is just, you know, very basic storytelling narrative stuff. And they just didn't do that, which I thought was stupid. They're just edging us, so when they actually kill someone, it won't be as shocking. That too, like, if I see anyone die in Gear 6 and they're not like shown to be dead, I'm not going to believe them. I'm primed to like not take them at their word that a character died. TC is going to watch this and kill everyone in Gear 6. The whole planet just explodes. You know, you get like that MK3 Sector fatality. Or is it Cypher? Which one's the yellow one? Where they just blow up the whole world. I don't know if Tom, I think it's Tom Bissell, who wrote Gears Judgment 4 and 5. I don't know if he is still at the narrative team for Gear 6. I mean, Gear 6 isn't even in production right now, as far as we know, but I don't believe he is writing the next game, which may be a good thing. If we're being honest here, Marcus should have died of a stroke. What? Because the amount he's had to witness in his family. Maybe. Betting TC fakes Baird's death in Gear 6. Yeah. If they do any more fake outs, trust me, I will be fucking livid. Dude, I would not even be surprised if they try to fake us out in Gears E-Day. If they're like, oh no, Dom's dead. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? He doesn't die for another 15 years. Give it some time. Like, he dies, but not now, you know? And that's what sucks about having a prequel with characters that we already know, because if it is going to be going into the origins of the Lancer, the only character who hasn't appeared in a game yet is Pad, because we have Marcus, we have Dom, and we have Ty. We all know when those characters die and or that they live. So there's not a lot of stakes for the characters themselves to get into. So the storytelling of their brotherhood, of Marcus and Dom's brotherhood, has to be good to reel me in. Otherwise, I don't really care about the story of E-Day if the story is just characters that we all know survive just going on an adventure on E-Day. Like, it's kind of interesting. Obviously, I'll play it, but I'm not that interested, you know? It's got to do a lot more than that to draw me in from a narrative point of view. Call the Hammer of Dawn on JD and that'd be a way. If E-Day does good, will we get a Gear 6? I think so, yeah. I know they said they still have plans to make Gear 6, but I don't think Gear 6 will look anything like Gears 5. Which sucks, because it's easy to tell from Gears 5 that they are not, they don't have a concrete plan for it, which will suck for whoever has to pick up that torch. That's got to be a hell of a hole. Like, they wrote themselves into a very, very deep hole, and it will be very, very hard to write themselves out of. It's not as open-ended as something like Gears 2 or Gears 1's ending. Some solid new characters brought to E-Day to give some stakes. Yeah, because if you just have like Marcus and Dom and Ty, the characters that we know existed, and Pad, I don't know if Pad has died or is canonically dead in the books. I don't remember. It's been a while. But if it's characters that we all know when they die and or that they survive E-Day, that takes all the tension out of it, you know? It's like that scene in Rom's Shadow where Min goes down to confront Rom, and it's like made up as this dramatic thing of him taking on Rom all by himself. And it's like, we know he kills you, dude. We know he kills you like 4 years after this. Why are we doing this dramatic, oh, I'm gonna get you, Rom, and oh, Rom might kill him? We know what happens. Why are we doing that? Why are we wasting our time with being dramatic with two characters that we both know how they die? Why are we trying to pretend like anything other than what happens? That's just not, what are we doing? Like, that scene is one of those that is like always so odd to me. And I feel like we're going to get a lot of those scenes in E-Day where it's going to be like, oh, is Marcus going to die? He's hanging onto the edge, you know, like in the trailer where he falls off and he like gets caught by Dom at the last second. It's like, oh, Marcus doesn't fucking die? Are you kidding me? Are you stupid? That's not how this works. It's not how the prequel works. Unless they do some crazy changes, Marcus is not going to die on E-Day. Expecting 5 new characters on E-Day and they kill 2 of them. Yeah, I don't know how many they'll do. We know Pat is alive to just before Gears 3. Okay. So yeah, if they do those 4 characters, there's no tension in it unless they change Pad's the way he exists in the story. But I don't know. I also don't know if he appears in any other stories that take place after E-Day. But I mean, nevertheless, they'd have to add in new characters, and I don't know if they would even be playable because I think it's also supposed to be a 2-player campaign as Marcus and Dom. So the other characters are just side characters also. So there's got to be a lot of, a lot of character moments between Marcus and Dom, especially to show me that they are brothers and they're very, very close, you know? Otherwise, I don't have that much of an interest in it. I want, like, the Marcus that cries for Dom in Gears 3. I want that. I want to be shown their connection in Ide. Otherwise, I'm not getting anything out of the story. Rom Shadow, the closest game to Ide? No, yeah, Judgment would be the closest. Judgment, we don't really know. It's anywhere from like a week to like a month after Ide. I don't think there's any hard numbers that tell us when it takes place, but we know it has to take place after Ide, obviously, because Marcus and Dom were on Omega Squad in Halvo Bay, but we know that they were in Kelowna on Ide itself. So depending on how the time frame works, we might even be able to see Marcus and Dom in Halvo Bay, but I wouldn't bet a whole lot on that. Make the duo Marcus and Dom and rotate out the other members. Try to survive that night. I tell them about like how you have like Baird and Cole tagged on in Gears 1, or even like Gears War 2, how you're rotating out, having Dizzy with you, having Ty with you, having Benjamin with you, having Cole and Baird with you, having whoever else, Hoffman, I think at the end, running around with you. I could see that being done. But again, them being a side character that just sort of tags along, I mean, it adds a little bit, but they'd also have to give them enough time to leave an impact on the story in the same way we get with more so Benjamin Carmine. I was going to say Ty. I don't think Ty leaves a huge impact on the story. He's just very memorable for how he looks like and his characterization, which is unique for Gears. Okay, I've done enough stalling. Let's look at this video ranking all of the Gears of War videos. The yapping is real, I know. We spent close to an hour just yapping.